Welcome back. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here. We're going to be opening up the lines and texts for you. 514-800 to text, and the phone number is 514-790-0800. Please reach out if you have any questions, anything related to caregiving, elder care planning, life transitions. Perhaps you need to find out a little bit more about CLSC services or home care support options in senior living. What's the difference between public and private? We received a bunch of texts last show. I'm going to get to some of those. And so even about downsizing, we could respond to that. And, you know, we all know our healthcare system is broken. And it's some tough stories out there, even just on the Gazette that was mentioned in the news. Some of you might have read the Gazette today. You know, wonderful reporting by Aaron Durfel and talking about the Lakeshore General Hospital. Tough reading, and there will be more articles from Aaron Durfel about that. However, I also want to hear about the good side, the silver lining. I know the Lakeshore General very well, been there many times with our families, and it is a wonderful hospital, but like all hospitals, they're going through some difficult times. So we want to hear some of those good stories that you might have had an experience at a hospital or with the CLSC as well. Please feel free to reach out and ask away your questions. Text me at 514-800 or call me at 514-790-0800. All right, I first want to start with, I'm on the board of directors of Nova West Island, and occasionally we get some news releases, some of them from the SPVM, and we want to spread the word out. So a little PSA, we got one yesterday from the SPVM about some scammers and going after some seniors, and here's what they're doing. You might have heard this, but it's happening right now, and they've asked us to get the word out. It's getting a phone call, and you're on the phone, and a very professional, serious voice saying there's been a fraudulent transaction with your debit card. And they catch you off guard, you're panicking, they're withdrawing money from you, and what they do is, we have to fix this, and they ask you for the PIN number, and they ask you to put your card in an envelope, and someone from a bank authority will come to your house to pick it up. And sure enough, you give your PIN number, you put that card in the envelope, and within minutes, someone is there picking up your card, and all along you're thinking it's a bank authority. This is complete fraud. They're going, and they've got your PIN now, and they've got your card. Well, there you go, carte blanche, and they're taking money from your bank account. So the SPVM has reached out to us in the community to get the word out. Have your guard up. Never give your PIN number over the phone or through email. Okay. All right, we're going to get to some of the texts that are coming in, and I appreciate you sending in these texts. One of them is related. This is from Susan, and she's related about wanting to know about senior living communities and what to look for in residences. You know, let's face it, since the pandemic, we hear a lot about aging in place, aging at home, and it is certainly becoming more popular. We want to age at home for as long as we possibly can. Eventually, though, there are those that are proactively, just what Dr. Amy Dupree was talking about, proactively looking for a more appropriate living environment, and those that are in crisis mode that might need some immediate care. So I always like to point out, first thing you need to look for a senior living community is the level of care that you may need, not necessarily for today. You want to be looking for tomorrow as well. So there are some beautiful independent living residences with minimal care and services. I always like to recommend those that can provide some additional services, the housekeeping, some laundry. Maybe one day you might need some assistance with bathing. You don't need it now, but I always like to make sure we bring your attention to that. Is it the right fit for you, the right culture and environment, starting with language? You know, are you more Anglophone, and then do you want to find more of an Anglophone environment? Vice versa. If you're Francophone, you want to find more of a Francophone environment. There are some big senior living communities where lots of activities, people thrive in that. Your social life and the stimulation, both cognitively and physically, are there. That appeals to a lot of people. But some others, they think big is too much, and they want to be in a more quaint, smaller environment. So make sure the culture and environment matches to your needs. And food is something I get asked about a lot. So you know what? Ask for a complimentary meal. That's the best way to go about it. It's going to serve two purposes. One, you're going to be able to see the menu and test out the food. But this is another way to check out the culture and environment that you may be going into, to be able to check out the dining room. Who's there? Do you see yourself matching and a fit for them? So ask for that complimentary meal. By the way, if a senior living community these days is not going to offer you a complimentary meal, you might want to consider passing on that one. And of course, budget. With these senior living communities, you want to make sure it matches your budget. And if you are over 70 years old, by the way, you will qualify for a monthly provincial tax credit. It usually works out to about 10 to 15% of the monthly rent, depending on the services that you have. So that's what we want to look for in the senior living community. There's over 500 of them in the island of Montreal, and even a bunch off-island, South Shore, Laval, Montérégie. So hopefully, Susan, that helps you out a little bit. We've got another text that came in. We're an elderly couple, and we need some support at home, with some bathing and getting dressed in the morning. How do I go about it? And so, we always suggest the first step is through the CLSC. If you can do that, not always easy, where our healthcare system is stretched to the limits. But if you can get some CLSC services, great. You're not paying for that. You do have to have an evaluation, but always best to start with that. They've got something called Chèque Emploi, where the government will contribute about $19 and change to the caregiver that you choose. And then, of course, you've got a bunch of private health home care options as well. And I have some families that are doing both CLSC and home care. And again, there are some government tax credits with home care. The texts are still coming in. Believe it or not, we are already running out of time, but we want to get address those texts. We're going to continue with kind of this caregiver corner, if you will, on the fourth quarter of every show, Life Unrehearsed. So I do want to one more time repeat, this is going to be the last show on a Saturday of Life Unrehearsed. We're switching back to our original time on Sundays at 4 p.m. starting next Sunday, March 5th. That's after the Dr. Joe Show, and I hope you could join us, and please spread the word. It's Sundays at 4 o'clock for your future shows of Life Unrehearsed. Hopefully you could join us next Sunday, and we've got a great show lined up. In fact, we're going to, it's approaching, believe it or not, International Women's Day is March 8th, and we're approaching that quick, and we're going to have some wonderful, inspiring women, great doctor with pioneering efforts, early detection for ovarian cancer, a couple cancer survivors as well, so I hope you can join us next Sunday, 4 o'clock on CJD. And I want to thank our producer, Dario. Great job today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Next up is the CTV News Update.